So we understand that these are all going to take different times, pretty much the same temp but different times. So we'll be able to, finish some of the pork ribs or the beef back ribs off a lot sooner than these Bront ribs or these dino ribs. So maybe those will be lunch, and then the dino ribs and Bront ribs, those will be dinner. We also, these are going to be going on the Traeger. We also have the birch barrel behind us. We're going to fire that up, and for lunch we're going to throw in the country ribs and the flanking ribs. So everything that you saw cut off of the beef and the pork, we're going to cook. We're going to do a comparison. We're going to do a side-by-side. You guys can see the times. You can see the temps. Let's make a day out of it, because sun's shining, and can't get any better than this, spending a day just smoking ribs and eating meat. So let's get started.
Let's go.
Starting off with the beef ribs, Dan.
They're going to take the longest, so we're going to get those on first.
Daniel literally just did this, so that's why we're going to put him through the paces on this cook. Going with the black blend. We just had somebody tell us yesterday that this creates the most awesome bark on everything that they've smoked. So it's pretty incredible. That molasses and that coffee in there, you just can't beat it.
We're going to start with a bunch of yellow mustard all over it. Get that seasoning to bind up and help our crust out.
While you're doing that, Dan, I'm going to go ahead and get the black seasoning bucket opened up and this refill bag emptied into it, because I have a feeling we're going to be using more than just a shaker of black seasoning.
I think so. And we load it up. Every side. Don't hold back, because that whatever sticks there is going to make that crust just really nice.
We always say that with this amount of surface space to cover, and as thick as that is, you really don't have to worry about over seasoning.
Nope.
It's nearly impossible.
As you can see, being that thick, a heavy coating on the outside is not going to overdo it.
Certainly not going to over season it.
All right.
So I want to mention something here real quick. I opened up this bag of black, and you can see that there's just a couple little clumps like this. That's because we don't put any anti-caking agents in our spices. Don't get too concerned about it, because you can just simply go like that, and it turns back to a nice powder. So if you do see that in our spices, is it because it does not have the anti-caking agents, which we want these as free of anything, any additives that aren't natural. Ironwood 885. This grill has been featured in pretty much all of our YouTube videos. This is kind of our workhorse Traeger that we like to use. Daniel's going to probe this in the thickest portion of that rib.
Right at that top end.
What temp are we at?
We are set for 225. We're going to treat it real similar to a brisket. It's nice and marbled, heavy fat in there. The bones at the bottom aren't going to affect it. So think of it like a brisket. Get a nice 6-8 hours on there. Get it up to temp, and then we'll wrap it up later.
We used about, probably close to 2/3 of a shaker of our black spice on that first Bront rib.
That was about 6 pounds, a little over 6 pounds on that.
So that'll give you an idea. Probably about 4.5, 5 ounces of seasonings for 6 pounds of meat. So I went ahead and got it refilled. On to the dino style, that chuck rib. You can see there's a little bit less fat on the back of it. These may be even a little bit thicker. These are 4 ribs long. The other ones are the 3 rib, the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And Dan's just going to work his magic. So Dan, on the Bront ribs that you did, the Wagyu Bront ribs, how did the mustard come through with the end result? Give it a nice tang.
Yep. It helped out. It wasn't overpowering. It's not like, taking just a squirt of mustard, but
so somebody that doesn't particularly care for mustard isn't going to be offended by this, because you can't even really taste it. You just get that little bit of tang. So don't get too concerned if you have family members or somebody that isn't a big mustard fan, because they'll still like this. I feel bad for anybody that has never tried a smoked beef rib.
Especially like this.
I mean, everybody, you know, kind of gets their rocks off on beef brisket, which I agree is amazing. But once you try beef ribs, oh my goodness, you're going to be in love forever. They're so good.
You'll forget about brisket when we're done.
That's right. Add them to the stash. Bront ribs, dino ribs.
We put the bones down so that any heat that comes up is not gonna dry out the bottom there. Those bones kind of help protect it.
You heard it from the man. Ever since I cut these a couple days ago, I can't stop thinking about them, because once you get these out of this package on this tray, you're gonna see the marbling in these things. And it'll be interesting to see how much quicker they cook compared to the ones that were left whole. So this is the, look at that. Incredible. So that's the Bront rib, the 6th, 7th, and 8th that we just cut down into a short rib.
If I hold these up, you want to do the honors?
Absolutely. I never thought you'd ask. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I love it. And keeps your shakers clean.
That's right. So the only thing that I'm noticing that we're missing is some music playing in the background. So when the camera's off and we're not filming, we'll be blasting some cool music. Look at that. That top rack, solid beef ribs. Mustard, black seasoning, my baby. We're going to continue with the black seasoning on the back ribs, and then we'll switch to Hollywood on all of the pork. Good?
Yep.
So I've got maybe a quarter of a shaker left. So for all of those beef ribs, which ended up probably weighing, we have at least 15 pounds of ribs, if not more. We're gonna use just under 2 shakers of seasoning. Onto the pork. We decided we're gonna do some with mustard and some without. So if you've been, if you watch the processing portion of this video, you're already gonna know why the baby backs here are longer than the baby backs there, and that sort of thing. So hopefully you're watching this, you're at this point in the video and you've already seen this. If not, you'll have to go back and watch it.
I'll season this one first without mustard.
Yep, do one with, one without.
Pork's a little bit better at getting seasoning to stick to it, so mustard's not as necessary. Beef is a little bit drier.
Bearded Butcher Hollywood blend. This one has the sugar in it, the cane sugar. It's really good on pork. If you use this, you're guaranteed to be the star of your neighborhood. This will be your 15 minutes of fame right here. Dan's opening up the St. Louis style, and then we'll do the full rack last.
We're doing some without mustard because we ran out.
Yeah, there's the truth. Well, you know, that is the beauty of barbecue, because there's so many different techniques, there's so many different styles.
That's good.
You know, make it your own. Do it however you want. As long as you're using Bearded Butcher blend seasonings and sauces, we're good with it. So, question of the day, Dan. To sauce or not to sauce? You want to do some with and some without?
Yeah, I think we'll be trying all kinds of things.
Okay. I like that idea. that's a full grill, folks. Just do a quick overview on everything we have. Bront ribs, dino ribs, short ribs. We have the beef back ribs, baby back ribs, St. Louis ribs, baby back ribs, and a full rack of spare ribs. We're gonna shut the lid, let them smoke. Check back in a bit. Pork ribs we know are gonna come off before the beef. We're making a day of it, so stay tuned. Got the squirt bottle filled up with a little apple cider vinegar, and woo! Have a look at that. Every half hour, 45 minutes or so, we're just gonna hit these with a little apple cider vinegar, keep them from drying out. And we're gonna do, boy, look at that color. Wow. Make sure we get all sides. Boy, the smell coming off this thing is pretty incredible. We're gonna do pretty much like the 3-2-1 on the pork ribs and the beef back rib.
3-2-1 is 3 hours open cook, 2 hours wrap cook, and an hour rest.
For anyone that doesn't know, there it is. And that beautiful pink butcher paper. If you don't have it, you better go get it. So Dan's gonna pull some ribs off, and I'm gonna get them wrapped up like a birthday present. There you go. Okay, doesn't look too bad.
Nope.
We got the little guy.
Yep, little guy.
This is gonna let these breathe as they smoke, keeping some of that bark on the product. We don't want to lose that. Boy, does that look good. Got full rack. So that's all the pork. Now it's time to wrap that beef rack.
Yes, the thinner one.
Yeah.
Bones coming out of there.
Yeah. Cannot wait. Here you go, sir.
Love it.
Okay, so you can see we wrapped all of the ribs that were thinner, so the beef and all the pork. We wrapped those. These, we're gonna take those to the mid, what do you say, Dan, 160?
165.
And then we'll wrap those and go to just over 200 on the beef ribs. So everything is looking fantastic. Maybe you're wondering, we didn't forget the flanking ribs and the country style ribs. So these are more of just a grilled item, not necessarily low and slow. They're more of a hot and fast. Scott was over there tinkering with the birch barrel. It's lit. So while our ribs are wrapped, they're on the smoker. We're getting these thin cut flanking ribs and the country ribs. We're gonna get them seasoned up with the butter blend. Just a nice coating on both sides. And the thing is with these ribs is they're cut so thin, that's why you don't have to smoke them low and slow for a long period of time. It doesn't take, time and a long temp or long time and low temp to break down the fibers inside the meat because it's cut so thin. So you can just grill them up and they're gonna be nice and tender. Today we're just going all in Bearded Butcher seasoning on the birch barrel. Get that butter blend, nice pile of flanking ribs going. Dan's got the country style. So we have these have the bone in them. So if you remember from the processing video, we have bone in and boneless. These are the bone side. So essentially, that's just a pork chop because it's on the end of that loin closest to that shoulder. So we're gonna grill them just like you would a pork chop. Take them to a nice medium, maybe 140, just above 140. So these are 100% boneless pieces here. For these ribs, I went through, and I can do Scott's hot tip on some of these. Get some of that seasoning wiped off off that tray. We've got the birch barrel filled with some rockwood charcoal and some rockwood hickory wood chunks. It smells amazing. I know it's going to taste amazing too. Might have to do this in a couple cooks because
you're not going to have room.
They do fill up the space of the grill. They're thin, so they take up a lot of space. That's okay. We'll do a couple cooks because they're gonna cook. They're gonna cook fast. So I'm just gonna twist my lid, get this grate up off that fire a little bit, get that smoke. Here, Spencer, I'll lift it up so you can see it. Get that smoke going. See that sizzle? That fat's starting to drip. So we can adjust our temperature on this birch barrel just by raising and lowering the lid. If you guys want one, go to Birch Barrel, put in Bearded Butchers, and you get 10% off. Well, Dan,
ready?
It's time for some lunch.
We're about 10 minutes on. Flip them once.
Did not take long. So look at those. See how thin those are? They crisp up real nice. That's why we said these aren't a low and slow. These are a hot and fast.
And they got all that fat in there, so they're not going to be dry.
We are good to go. Woo! That is lunch.
Mouth's watering.
Let's go eat some.
Yep.
I was going to ask you if you wanted to get started sampling, but I see that you didn't wait on me. That's okay. I forgive you. Look at that. Just cut down in between the rib. Yeah. These make the perfect little hors d'oeuvre. So the beef ribs, flanking style. Let's get some of these pork ribs cut up. Now this one has a bone in it, so somebody can chew on that too. And this is the boneless one. You can cut these however you want. You can serve them whole, however. Nice little plate of hors d'oeuvres. So rather than sit here and cut all these while I listen to Dan chew on that one in my ear, I'm digging in.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm done.
Wow.
Fantastic. It's not even the most tender meat, but it doesn't matter because they're cut thin.
And that flavor of that
Sizzle.
fat, that meat right up against that bone like that. Let's try the pork.
Good too.
That butter blend on there, I'm telling you, when you use that butter blend, you would think you put a big slab of butter right on top of it. And we didn't use
juicy.
any.
And even for a lean cut out of the loin there,
Yeah.
it's still super juicy.
Incredible. So, this is an appetizer. Next will be the ribs. We've been running this Ironwood 885 at 225 the whole cook. We have an hour and a half left on the pork ribs. We have we're thinking about 3 hours left on the beef ribs. So it's been at 225. We haven't touched it, but we feel at this point of the cook, we should probably bump it up a few degrees. I was thinking it, Daniel said it, so that means we're doing it. So we're just gonna go up. We're gonna call it 250. The super smoke cancels at above 225 degrees, but that's okay. We're already wrapped. So now we're at 250. All we have to do is wait a few minutes. We're gonna sauce some of the pork ribs. We'll toss those back on. Let them go.
We'll probably turn it up even higher a little bit later.
Yep. Stay tuned.
got about an hour of cook time left on the pork ribs. We're going to sauce up a couple, leave
So
some dry.
we're 5 hours in, so 3, 2 were the first 2 stages. We've got an hour left, so this is the last hour, like Dan said, where we want to sauce. So,
Ooh. Already falling apart.
Already falling apart. So I went ahead and grabbed our half-gallon barbecue. We have the 12-ounce also, but I figured I didn't want to run out, so we're just gonna do it up like this. Grab our mop, our basting brush, and just give them a nice coat. I have a feeling if we try to do the other side, they're gonna fall apart, Daniel. We better just do one.
Play it safe.
There's one. Look at all that juice. Wow.
Those bones are just going to pull right out here real quick.
They're already pulling out.
Sauce it.
Sauce it. It's saucy. Yeah. Plenty of sauce.
Gonna wrap this one up or leave it open?
I think we leave it open. So we'll wrap one and leave one open. Let's get this nice thick sauce to base, or just to set up on there and get tacky. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Let's let them go for an hour. And we're gonna taste them.
All right, so we're pulling these ribs that I worked really hard on for the last 3 or 4 hours.
Where have you been?
I have a walkie-talkie. You see that? I'm linked to the mothership.
But you didn't give ours. You didn't give us any.
There you go.
I would rather not.
All right, guys, let's get these ribs off of here. What do we got on here? Okay, let's see. Oh, they look great. I remember wrapping all of those. No, I'm just joking. You guys jump in there. I'll just be around to eat. How's that sound?
Sauced ribs, you can see that sauce is nice and tacky on there. Those are ready to come off. Actually, all of the thinner ribs are ready to come off. So we're gonna actually slice the sauced ones. We're gonna try those. The rest of them that are wrapped, we're gonna throw them in a cooler and let them sit. So Dan, if you'll do the honors. Actually, you know what? Let me come to you. Ooh. They're so tender, we lost a bone.
Yep. Kept the meat though.
Look at that. Wow. Does that look good?
Let's do a little experiment here.
Gonna pull right out of there. Oh.
There it goes.
Look at that pull.
That's what we like.
So, little plug for our awesome Coleman coolers with our branded logo on there. We're gonna use this today to rest our ribs in. Daniel's gonna pull them off the grill. We're gonna get them set in the cooler. We're gonna let them rest for a minute. The sauced ribs, we're gonna go ahead and slice those up, and we're gonna sample those while these rest.
These are sauce too.
That's okay. We'll slice these and then we'll get those out since they're on the top. All right, let's just put those right there. Time to transfer our full rack onto our board. Slice them up. So if you followed along through the whole video, you're already going to know that this is our full rack, and we left those little riblets on the end of this. So just keep in mind that when we slice these, we are going to be cutting through a little bit of cartilage right here on the end of these ribs. So the St. Louis style will not have that little bit of cartilage right there, so keep that in mind. I gotta pick one of these up and take a look real quick. Wow. Those are gonna be good. And they are nice and hot. So I mentioned when we cut these that, you know, it just makes a little cleaner cut when you take that bottom riblet off and turn these into a St. Louis style. You can see that cartilage right there. So let's just let them rest for a minute. On to the baby backs. These are the sauce baby backs. They're so tender that I don't even have to cut them.
Just pull the bone out.
Yeah.
Shake them.
Yeah,
Give them a shake, Seth.
they're literally just gonna fall apart. So let's start down here. I'm gonna do one of these. I'm just gonna get this chunk right here that fell off. So this is a full rack of rib.
Oh.
Wow.
I've said it in videos before, but I actually prefer the sauced ones. I think it just adds that extra element.
How about a baby back?
Thank you.
You got a bone spot.
I got a little chunk left on there. Tenderness went up a notch,
Yep.
which is to be expected with a baby back versus spare. I mean,
They're just so tender.
It's just falling off the bone.
Outstanding. Spare
Slightly-
rib versus baby back. Those baby backs, that tenderness,
Slightly more tender.
but the spare rib, I mean the flavor, I'd say neck and neck. Little edge and tenderness to the baby backs.
So I already know that I'm gonna personally prefer the St. Louis style better because you don't have to deal with the riblet and the cartilage on the bottom, and it just
Cleaner.
makes a nice cleaner rib. So
You know what you can't do with gloves, Seth? Yeah, you get that taste of gloves. It's not any good. Red beards. Also, advantage to having a red beard. You get as much sauce as you want in it. Nobody can
knows.
tell.
Doesn't matter.
So this is that little baby back, not sauced, that we took off that loin that we saved the country ribs on. So that's the little baby back.
So, Seth, since I'm a pro and he's a rookie, I got a couple of tips here for you. No, it is interesting. Even though we work together, we do things a little bit differently. This is beef.
Yeah.
We do things a little bit differently. A lot of times I flip my ribs over so that way I can see between the bones. Now, for a presentation, it's not as pretty, but for practicality, see that? See, we can see through those bones. That's Scott's hot tip. On the beef bones, I don't think we need to do that, but
They're just, everything's just falling apart. They're too hot to eat right now.
screw that. Let's just give it a try. Hot.
I told you.
Okay, so first things first, you get obviously that
Super beer good,
beefy,
Dan.
marrowy flavor.
Super beefy.
Richer for sure. Tenderness is just on par, but definitely a stark contrast in flavor. So dry rubbed, I know personally I'm a bigger fan of the sauce ones. Oh, those are good.
So
Maybe a little bit of mustard coming through there.
Yeah, just a little hint.
keep in mind that we did these at the same time, the same temp. So you can adjust that accordingly. So if you feel like the beef ribs, maybe, some people might say they're, you guys overcook those things. But we wanted to do a side-by-side comparison and not change the temperature or anything like that, just to see how they wound up. So
This
is just as new to us as maybe everybody else out there, but keep that in mind. This was a side-by-side, same time, same temp, just to see
Same smoke.
just to see where we'd end up.
What? Let me try to guess. Let me see. Black.
Yep.
Black on the beef ribs.
Yep.
Correct.
Mustard.
Hollywood
black.
on the pork.
Yep.
Correct.
Bingo.
Delicious.
Something that I'm noticing on the beef ribs is I left that membrane on those. And
Can't tell.
You're not noticing it.
No.
You eat right through it. Can't even tell. last one left is that St. Louis style. Now, I do have to mention, we know that some of these ribs are overcooked, but the idea of this video wasn't to nail every single rib. The idea was to cook them all at the same time, as mentioned, same temp, same smoke, just to see where we ended up. You can adjust your temperatures from there. So that's the idea. Somebody's gonna comment, oh my gosh, you guys overcooked those ribs. We know that. It was a side-by-side comparison. So, St. Louis, bingo. We'll go with Scott's hot tip. How's that sound?
Sure. Flip them so you can see where the ribs are.
So now these, we did cut that bottom off, those riblets, so Dan, he's gonna have a little bit easier time seeing where that rib is, and he can just cut right down through there. Just like that.
They're just falling apart. Probably just do one of those if you wanted. Oop.
I'll just take that piece right there. How's that sound?
That'll work.
I'll take that piece right there. Look at that.
I like when they do this.
These are dry rub.
Nope.
No,
No
sauce.
No sauce.
Yeah, dry rub. I can taste a little bit of the mustard.
Yeah, there'll be just a little bit on there.
That's good.
Super tender.
I love how the paper leaves your bark. That's what I like right there.
These stay juicy. These weren't
Yeah.
overdone.
Yeah, so the St. Louis style stayed juicy. The baby backs dried out a little bit more.
A little smaller.
Yeah.
Well,
If you like them to just fall apart like this, it was perfect. If you want them to stay bound up together a bit, then pull them off probably half hour, 45 minutes before.
keep in mind, we do have those big racks on there still. So those big Bront ribs, those dino ribs, and we had to crank our temperature a little bit. So that affected this cook. So yeah, if you don't want them to fall apart like this, if you don't want them too overdone, just cut your time back a little bit and your temp. Man, it's been a day of smoking meats. Beef ribs are done. We're gonna get them off there, place them in the cooler, let them rest for a while. Juice is just running out. We're gonna let these rest for probably about 45 minutes to an hour inside this cooler. And then we'll crack them open and see what we have. Just so our audience understands, you know, the amount of time that goes into this. We're getting towards the end of the day. We're ready to rock and roll, but it's been a haul, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a marathon.
Yeah.
The butchering is easy.
Yeah.
The cooking is fun, but the length of and then the eating is great too, but then after 20, 30, I know, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Tough job.
Yeah. We're just trying
you
to
start to smell it, feel it, and then you're just like, man, I don't know if I'm hungry, but it's all part of it. Something we really enjoy, but there's definitely a lot of work that goes into it.
We're just trying to reveal to the audience, a little bit behind the scenes, what goes into making these videos. And we love our audience, because without you guys, we wouldn't be doing these videos. So, on that note, we get you to do us a favor. Subscribe to our channel. We hit just over 750,000 subscribers, and we're really itching for that million, because we're going to throw one heck of a party. So, let's do it. A couple more minutes to rest these ribs. We'll slice them up and see how we did.
Juicy.
So those are those dino ribs. Man, look how fat those things are. Those are the short ribs.
I'm getting, yep.
You're not getting that. You didn't say anything about the presentation. Oh, that's a lot of juice.
Man, that thing swelled up. See a bone sticking out there.
Yeah. Probably just gonna peel off.
Wow. Look at that. So the membrane we left on there, that's what held that together. If we had taken that off, these things probably would have just completely fallen apart.
That thing is thick.
Yeah. Look at that. Wow.
That's a lot of fat.
Juicy. So when I cut these, we did mention that if you want to, you can trim these down and take this part off and just serve, you know, this part right here. So you can do that if you want. But look at that. Look at that juice running out of there. I don't want to dump it off there because it's too pretty. Mm-hmm. You want me to slice it off the bone and then we'll slice it up and try it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow. Look at that.
In reality, that means it probably needed to rest more, but
yeah.
no time.
Dig in, fellas.
Down the hatch.
It's gonna be tender.
That big beefy flavor. It's like brisket but better.
Yeah.
That's what I get out of it.
Tons of flavor, nice and tender. Pulled off those bones. Wow. You're gonna serve Spencer.
Got a
aren't you?
nice smoke ring on there. Spencer, you want a bite?
Yes, please. There you go.
Wow. That's delicious.
That's dandy.
So to serve these, what I would do is I would just go through here and knock that heavy fat off, separate the meat, and then just serve these up in chunks. But yeah, see that smoke ring on there? That's the dino rib, that chuck rib. So that's actually the second beef rib that we've done. First one was that back rib. So let's get this one moved off our board. On to the next. Short ribs. I already know these are going to have a lot less fat in them. Those other ones just blew up. Yeah. So you can see that the presentation on these is going to be a lot better. They were pre-cut.
And more surface coverage of the spices.
Got the jiggle. Yeah, so these, dig in, fellas. Just grab whichever one you want.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, you already know.
Look at that. Cherry red smoke. Look at that.
That's unreal.
Woo.
That's loaded with that black flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touch of mustard.
So far, out of all of the ribs, pork and beef, this one's number one in my book.
Yep.
And we called that out during the cutting because we saw that marbling in there. Let me just do this real quick. Look at that. Oh, so incredible.
As good as that looks, it tastes even better.
Wow. Want some?
Yep.
Wow. All right. Beef
On to
rib
the
number
final
3.
one.
A little bit this way. This way. Tilt it.
You could
Okay.
focus it on me. That would be great.
Our
That's
niece,
better.
our niece Alyssa. It's
so
hot.
that our beards get the right flow.
It's so hot out here. We were like, listen, we need a fan. So if you hear the whirling in the background, it's the fan with Alyssa holding it. All right, last one. This is the Bront Rib. This one swelled up too, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Look at that.
I think we need to do. A rib pull on this one.
Yeah.
You do the honors. You got the gloves on. See if that
Middle.
middle one will pull out.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Sliding.
Woo,
Yeah.
baby. Look at that.
That's a good sign.
Wow. See if these go too. There's 2. There's 3. Incredible.
Now, before you start cutting, I'm just gonna do something.
The fat pull.
Oh my goodness! Just
Look at
pull a
that.
little piece of that, and just that is. Oh my goodness! That's stupid.
It's so rich.
It's like
Yeah.
candied
It's like-
beef fat. You want some, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Here you go. got a nice bark on it. Makes it kind of hard to cut through. Wow. Look at that. Insane. What piece do you want?
Slice one right off the top there.
Right here?
Yep. Get some of that bark in it.
That smoke ring on there. Hammer it, fellas.
This
Ladies.
concludes the rib marathon.
Beefy richness. Got that Bearded Butcher, not mustard, adds just a little bit of tang.
It's good. It's not
It's got
too
that
much.
smoke flavor. Wow.
That's incredible. So, I know this wasn't really a which one was best type video, but which one did you like best?
So pork, I like the St. Louis style spare rib. It just hit all the right, checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
Tenderness, flavor,
Juiciness.
easy to cut, juicy, the whole bit. On the beef, for me, that's the best bite I had was that little piece that I just pulled off of this dino rib off of that bark with that fat. But the best overall is going to go to the short rib riblets. Easy to find, easier to find, easy to cook, easy to serve, and then the flavor was incredible. So those will probably get my all-around score.
I can't disagree. So keep in mind that those short ribs that Scott's referring to, it's the same rib as these, just cut shorter. So I cut them here, and then you had 6 pieces of the short ribs. So, but they were smaller. They cooked a little bit different. They mashed a little bit easier.
More surface area gets you more seasoning.
Yeah, more seasoning, more smoke, the whole bit.
I would like to point out that we used one grill. We put everything on at the same time, and then we pulled it. We did the 3-2-1 on the pork ribs, and then the beef ribs, we just took them to 200 degrees and let them rest. If we were going to do this over again, we probably would have done one of two things. We would have used 2 grills, and we would have put beef ribs on a separate grill by themselves, and then started the pork ribs a few hours in, and then had everything finished at the same time. Or we would have put the beef ribs on the grill, waited until the appropriate time, and then added the pork ribs to it. But we wanted this video to be, full transparency. Everything's going on the grill. We're just going to pull everything at the same time and see what we wound up with. So we're not saying that any particular rib's going to win a competition or anything like that, but that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to show you, the audience, what everything looked like, cooked same time and temp throughout the whole process. So that was the point of this video, the ultimate rib comparison, plus give you an education on beef, pork ribs, where they come from, and what all the different ribs are.
So there you have it. When you have the word rib in your mind, or you walk into a store and you're saying something with the word rib attached to it, we've now showed you what it looks like from a beef, from a pig, compared, and you can be educated. So that's the conclusion of today's videos from America's Butchers, the Bearded Butchers. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you stay tuned. Stay subscribed, hit that bell for notifications, and we'll see you next time right here on the Bearded Butchers YouTube channel.
There's more to come. See you guys.